What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a little tier list for 10.2. I was a little hesitant on making one last week because, gosh darn it, that last week was wacky as heck. Not that this week's gonna be much different, but we did see some PvP changes, which I was very much assuming was gonna happen. So let's get right into it. Let's make it a little tier list for y'all. I'm gonna put tanks over here at the bottom tier, or the tank tier, I should say, and I'm gonna try to run through these pretty quick. All right. So granted, I haven't played every spec, but I think I have a decent idea of how these all are performing. 4 sets may still come into play, but nobody's gonna be getting their 4 sets till at least the week next week, not this week. At a minimum, that's if you rated, or if you get vault twice, lucky vaults. But regardless, here we go. Let's get into it. Aflock. I think Aflock is going to be a solid. I would say it's going to be it's a solid. Soul Shuffle. I would say it's more like an A tier. I think it's definitely. It's like a low end A tier. We'll keep it on A. Arcane Mage. Arcane Mage might kind of fall over into B with some of these changes. Their damage is really good. Defensively, kind of lacking. Just for the sake of diversity, I'm going to keep it at B for right now. Arms Warrior, I still think Arms Warrior is definitely going to be up there on an S tier, man. Like, I'm going to try to keep this generalized. I'll try to make point. I'll make point when things will be different in Solo Shuffle specifically, but I think for the most part, Arms is probably an A tier just because of the synergy with the defensiveness and everything like that. Preservation Evoker. Also, can we just clarify, this is my opinion, feel free to disagree. It is what it is, man. It's just a game. Don't take it personally. Preservation Evoker is, in my opinion, the worst healer right now. The throughput is just terrible. Your win condition as Preservation Evoker is to win within the first 90 seconds by popping everything offensively, because you will lose every game in dampening, every single one. Assassination Rogue. I think Assassination Rogue is definitely a solid A. I think in twos, it might even be an S tier, but for the sake of every other bracket, we're going to keep it at A tier for right now. Boomy's definitely an S tier still, man. Boomy is just cranking damage. I feel like they got some sleeper buffs. I didn't really look too deeply into the notes on them, but the combination of them being just strong themselves and their strongest comp being Boomy DH, yeah, they're going places. And in Solo Shuffle, Boomy's always, as long as Cyclone is still in the game, man, Boomy's and their damage is good, Boomy's gonna be S tier. I think BM Hunter is sleeper S, I think, as well, man. I swear BM Hunter is just so gosh darn difficult to heal. I don't think enough people play it right now for people to realize it, but if you ever verse like a jungle cleave or just in twos, R Druid BM Hunter, it's just an obnoxious amount of damage. And I definitely think it's like a low end S tier for sure. Demolock, I'm putting Demolock up there as well, man. I think Demolock is juicing as well, because a lot of their damage, unless you have like these mass roots, it's not really preventable anymore. Like, you used to be able to just line the Tyrant or CC the Tyrant, but you know, with Vile Fiend doing as much damage, their pets, just all of their pets doing a lot of damage, it's really difficult to actually do anything. Destrolock, I'm gonna put Destrolock at a high A. I think Destrolock is very good in I think it's very good overall, but the current meta kind of holds it back just a wee bit, I think. You know, with all the heavy melee right now, especially like DKs, it's just extremely disruptive, and it just doesn't do it. Like, you know, you have to cast to do the same damage that a DH is going to do normally, or a DK is going to do normally. Devastation Evoker, surprisingly, I'm gonna put it at B tier. In Soul Shuffle, it's doing really well. I think just because damage is so high overall. But if damage does happen to slow down, or like healers become a little bit stronger, I feel like it's more of the damage needs to slow down. The healing is very strong too. It's just like super spiky. It's why Soul Shuffle is a little bit wacky right now, but I think Devastation is worthy of a B tier for sure. Disc Priest. So Disc Priest in Soul Shuffle is S, 100%. Disc Priest in everything else, just because I feel like people are gonna bitch, I'm gonna put it at S tier. But I do genuinely think that I think Disc could definitely be an A tier in terms of threes and twos. But Ellie Shaman, let's move on over. So yeah, Disc Priest, by the way, yeah, I'm accounting for the nerfs that are coming in, by the way, the rest of Druid nerfs. That's why I think Disc Priest is just going to take over in Solo Shuffle, because damage is still going to be really fast, and damage reduction cooldowns are going to be very, very crucial. But I think, you know, mana is still going to be a concern in threes. Twos, just the duration of a game. Like, you know, Rush Druid is still, I think Rush Druid is still going to outlast Disc and 2s. And then I think, you know, a lot of the healers are going to be pumping up a little bit, or be a little bit closer than they were. Okay, moving on. Ellie Shaman. Ellie Shaman, I think, is solid spot, man. We haven't seen the 4 set yet. And they just got some changes, some buffs, I believe they're buffs. There's no Lava Burst change. There was Lightning Bolt buffs, but nerf to the Volcanic Surge, which people don't really use. I think Ellie's, I'm going to put it at top of the A tier. Okay, I'm going to try to, if people disagree on this, man, I'm trying to gauge this towards the average player. This isn't a rank 1 only tier list, man. Like, I hate people, like, they try to argue that, and I'm like, dude, it's you know, that's the top 1.1% of people playing perfectly. Yeah, it's going to be, every class is going to be a little bit different. But I think on average, just because of the heavy melee meta, Ellie Shaman does get held back just a wee bit. Enhancement Shaman, we're going to put at B tier. It's not bad. It does good damage, but it just ain't these other melee that are up there. Feral Druid, definitely an A tier. I'm not going to put it at an S because it does die, but the damage is really good, man. Those bites are fat. And just the clone playstyle is really annoying to face, but it's very good. I think Fire Mage. So Fire Mage is interesting. I think Fire Mage again. I'm gonna just kind of keep putting these top of the A tier. 4 set for Fire Mage may bump this up to A, and I think in obviously some 3v3 comps like Rogue Mage, for example, and maybe even like Feral Mage. I think Fire Mage is definitely up there at S tier. The damage is really high, but just because of the squishiness, and again, the average player, I'm going to put it down to A just because it dies. Frost Mage, I'm going to put it right with Fire because these buffs were pretty massive that they just got today. And we'll have to kind of see how that plays out, but I think it might be an A tier, man. I think it might be an A tier. Let me put it bottom of the A tier because I don't think it's just, I don't know if it'll be on the level of Fire, just because Fire's damage is all just instant and just cranks. But I think it could potentially be an A tier for sure. Frosty K, still down at C tier, man. I think not really anything unexpected. Frosty K just needs to rework, man. It's just so sloppy of a gameplay design. Fury Warrior, I'm going to put Fury Warrior at B tier. Fury Warrior is not bad. It's just not Arms Warrior. That's about it. Guardian Druid, oh, forgot to put that in there. Holy Priest, I'm going to say, again, just for the sake of diversity, just because something's on B tier doesn't mean it's bad. Please don't kill me for that. I want to put Holy Priest at B tier, just for the sake of diversity on the tiers of healers. Just because I think Holy Priest is still good. Holy Priest may be better. I think in a lot of 3s comps, Holy Priest is definitely up there even higher, especially like Rogue Mage and comps that like Chastise gets very good use out of. But I think in longer dampening games, Wrestle Druid kind of has the edge, and then quicker games, Disc Priest kind of has an edge. It does have its specific comps that it does excel in, though. Demon Hunter is still gonna be S tier, man. I don't see any changes otherwise. I don't think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a little bit worse, obviously, just because of those changes. But I don't think it's going anywhere. I think Demon Hunter is still top of the pack. It's maybe just not God tier. It's just S. Holy Paladin gonna go on B tier as well. Holy Paladin is not bad overall. It's just lacking on mana, and they just got some mana buffs. We'll see where that goes. I think it's definitely behind Holy Priest, but I think it's better than Preservation Evoker. Marksman Hunter, I'm going to knock Marksman Hunter actually down to B tier. I think it was a little bit higher, but you know, some more rapid fire nerfs coming in prior to the tier set. I don't know if it's going to make it up there or not. We'll see. We'll see how things play out, but I think just with my guess prediction with those nerfs that it's going to be down to a B tier. The current meta just doesn't favor it. If this was a caster heavy meta, something like last season, or just a lot of casters, not to be a caster meta, just a lot of people playing caster, I think it would be better. But playing Marksman Hunter, all these DKs and warriors and stuff is just not ideal. I've had so many solo shuffle lobbies with 3 melee and a Marksman Hunter. Marksman Hunter goes 0-6. It's just, Marksman Hunter needs casters to succeed. Okay, Mistweaver, I think Mistweaver is on A tier. I think, again, if we're talking about solo shuffle, I think it's pretty, outside of solo shuffle, I think it's very competitive with Disc as well, man. Mistweaver's healing is really good. And again, with the really fast-paced game, having a lot of these immunities, like Revival or Life Cocoon is essentially an immunity, because Life Cocoon is impossible to break, even in dampening. So, it's actually doing very well with it. It doesn't have damage reduction, but if people are not, disrupting them, they're going to actually just juice. Okay, so Outlaw Rogue's an interesting one, right? So I'm hearing like nonstop people say the Outlaw's like ridiculously good at the very top of the ladder. To be honest, I have not played one good Outlaw rogue yet, so I can't really attest to that. But every Outlaw rogue that I have played was very mediocre, and I want to believe everyone that's saying that. And again, I don't want to cater this tier list to just the top rank 1%. So I'm gonna put it at A tier because I do think it's good, but I don't see it being as good as these like an average for an average player. Russell Shaman I think is going to be up there as well with 4-set. Riptide, I'm already seeing a difference with the Riptide, and it's doing very well. And you know, a lot of people just aren't playing it right now. Maybe that's why you're not noticing it, but it is extremely disruptive. And I think continuing with these buffs with the 4-set, I think it's going to do very well. Solo Shuffle, it's going to struggle. I think Solo Shuffle, it's more of like a B tier, but I think in other brackets, it's going to be an A tier. So just to clarify that. Wrestle Druid, I think is going to be up there as well. 2's Wrestle Druid is still S tier, and in other brackets, I think as well. Like again, let me just clarify this with the healers. I think all the healers are actually very close outside of Evoker. I think Evoker is garbage, but I think all the other healers are actually very close in terms of like 3s. But just for the purpose of diversity of a tier list, I'm going to actually put them just to spread them out a little bit. Disc is definitely, I think, going to have an edge in Solo Shuffle. Red Paladin. Again, just, I guess we're going to go... man, I feel like Red Paladin is actually really good, but I really haven't seen anything crazy. Maybe because all the Red Paladins went rerolled DH. I feel like Rets should be A tier. I feel like they should be A tier just because of how their utility. But I haven't really seen crazy amount of Rets. And every Ret that I've seen, it just gets outshined by a DK or DH. So I think it should be A tier. I've only really been seeing kind of B tier performances, but we'll see. I'm going to put it there. Shadow Priest, I think Shadow Priest is going to be bumping up to a B tier. I think before these buffs, I would put it at a C tier. I think arguably Shadow Priest Shadow Priest and Frosty Care are the worst 2 classes in the game, or these 3. These are the worst 3 classes in the game right now. I'll bump it up to B tier just in hopes that 8% damage is going to help them enough. I think for the average player, Shadow Priest is still going to be a C tier, but I'm going to bump it up here just because I think its utility could do really well in 3s and Solo Shuffle. Because Shadow Priest's strength is to assist other players having really good crowd control, especially in caster matchups. So like, you know, playing with the Demo Lock or Mage or Boomy or something like that. So I'm going to put it there for now. Sub Rogue top end A tier again. Just preface this again, please don't get mad at me about this. I think this is for the average player. The average Sub Rogue is definitely, I don't think it's on the same par as these classes, man. I really don't. I think, you know, Sub Rogue is inherently a tougher class to play, and for that reason, it's not always an S tier. I think maybe in the very top end, it is an S tier class when you're playing at the rank 1 level, but for the average person, A tier. Survival Hunter. Survival Hunter is not bad. I'm going to put it top of the B though, just because the meta's like so chaotic right now that I think it's tough for Survival Hunters to actually get, if they're landing their traps playing with one of these OP classes, I think it's pretty good. Or just not OP, just strong classes, it's pretty good. But yeah, I'm going to put it at upper B tier. I think it's, you know, there's definitely an argument to put it a little higher, but again, I want to give you guys a little bit, you know, I don't like tier lists when everyone just puts everything in the same tier. I like to have some sort of diversity in it. The Unholy DK is still an S tier, man. I think those nerfs are not moving it anywhere. It's still going to be up there. I would say, oh, by the way, Warrior is probably at the bottom of this. It's probably something like this. Yeah, probably something like this. Maybe Devo's better than that. Whatever it is. Like something like this. Yeah, so DK is just doing an obnoxious amount of damage still, and even with losing the a little bit of damage, their crowd control is still pretty freaking nuts, man. So there. Windwalker, definitely A tier as well, man. Windwalker is doing an enormous amount of damage. Like, I play Disc Priest. I cannot live a good Windwalker, man. Between Windwalkers and DKs, excuse me, they are just so freaking hard to heal through. And yeah, man, I mean, they do die, but their damage is really high. So we're going to definitely put up there. Aug, I really haven't been proven otherwise, so we're going to put Aug at B for now. I can't believe, I'm very surprised at the fall off on Aug. Maybe we'll see a rise of it again, but I haven't been convinced that it's any higher than a B tier now. Just surprisingly, in like when we're getting a lot of one shots, Aug is just kind of falling off in that regard. Maybe just because of a lot of other classes just doing crazy damage as well, that nobody needs an Aug. So yeah, that's it. There's my tier list. If you guys disagree, that's okay. You can leave a comment what you think, and we'll get through this together. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any other questions or anything like that, and have a wonderful day. Enjoy the new patch. Have a good day.